Yes, Avilash. So good afternoon. You can say what is the kind of queries that you have, and we can discuss.
Okay, it's immense pleasure that connecting with you after a long time, and I'll take a very limited time, so I
Okay,
should not waste your time. And
no
a
problem.
quality kind of a refined questions have been gathered, and I would getting the best suggestions with eminent mindset as well as experienced people like you. So I just articulated few of queries related to enterprise architecture specific to a TOGAF, as well as I'm currently working into cloud SRE for like OTT environment as of now. So I worked on
OTT.
multiple
Okay, what is OTT?
on the demand,
Ah, okay,
like
okay,
Hotstar, such a way, but not Hotstar. Okay,
okay, okay,
One of a OTT giant I've been working on. So there, I try to explain you. Let me precise. So there, we were currently using it's a pure multi-cloud environment. So we used to run our workloads in a microservices-based environment, and we have all these features like I can say it is very pretty similar to Netflix stack, the historics, Istio for a service mesh or app mesh, as well as we have console for service discovery, and most of our workloads running on a K8 environment. So such a way our stack was running with multi-cloud, as well as two major public clouds, I can say, irrespective of telling the name. So that is what my current role. I can say it is best fit into SRE, site reliability engineer. So coming to that, I just got multiple offers in hand, and I'm in a dilemma to which one choose is a best pick instead of compensation. So which would helps me into a career growth. So I think you are the one best person who could give the valuable suggestion, not even a suggestion. Okay, so okay, I'll tell you the kind of opportunities I got. So one would be same, like similar SRE, which is not even that much matured what I've been working on. It is more into still VMs. And another one I got it, which is one of us cloud startup environment, which works in AIML based, and they were using a serverless environment. Another one I was much curious is cloud migration assessment planning opportunity. So they have a public clouds, and as far as I understand from the complete technical or managerial every all the rounds. So it is like they have an on-premises. So the TOGAF is a framework they've been used, and with the help of that, so they would take the assessment, um, migration planning, and all things related to TOGAF framework, I can say. So I would need your suggestions. Which one would be best suitable? And to answer you, like I'm much more interested to be into futuristic down the line 2 to 3 years. I want to be a EA practitioner instead of stick into one specific technology.
Yeah,
So I
okay.
mean, coming
So
to
as
that,
far as I know, you are actually having one SRE kind of a role, and the other is TOGAF cloud architect kind of role, which uses TOGAF.
assessments, yeah, most of our migrations, as you said, correct. Not
Assessments. Yeah.
explicit to TOGAF, but yes, it once works on the TOGAF framework for assessments and migrations. And I can say in terms of TOGAF terminology is capability architecture, strategic
Okay.
segment capability architecture work.
Okay. Okay. Capability. And these are the two offers, Abhilash, or is there any other offer? You said there's
Yeah,
one more
another also I can say it's kind of a DevOps, but it is
DevOps. Okay.
working
Okay.
on majorly VMs, not even, and one would be serverless environment, which is
Okay.
advanced to microservices. I mean, containers.
Okay. Okay. So if you take these two options mainly, one is your SRE role and the other is a cloud architect role. And the cloud architect one involves EA application of TOGAF as a framework, which you said. So your SRE role is going to be technically more challenging, I would say, because that involves building a Netflix like stack, and you need to ensure that your CI/CD pipelines are completely automated. and it supports a large number of builds. The number of builds that you're going to create per hour per day is going to be very of a very high order than so that is going to be very technically challenging. And if you're how many years in IT have you spent right now? What is your
I'm having
year?
10 plus years of experience.
10 plus years experience. Okay. So it is good that you could play another 5 to 6 years being very technical types, like, gather all of the details that you do, and plus have an EA focus, like you already have the TOGAF focus and you have an EA focus. So if you are really interested on the technology part of it, SRE is a very good role because that's going to be a very technology challenging role. But the other one is, of course, a solution architect. It'll help you to move into a solution architect role, the cloud architect thing, because you are going to be a strategic segment and capability. Capability is one level below the solution architect, and the next thing that is a strategic part is like a senior solution architect or solution architect. So you'll be able to move to that layer if you are going to play that role. So that is going to be slightly more generic, and you can actually get more customer facing problems, and you can also learn and move into a solution architect itself, proper solution
Okay.
architect within 1 or 2 years. Yeah.
So if you're talking about the customer facing, so it is more of a requirement gathering and understanding the existing problems. I mean, kind of a pain points and understanding the baseline of their environment and where they've been struggling. And for example, if things are going fine, like how we could refine and give a excel in their environment, or the betterment than existing, how we could optimize it,
Correct, correct,
and
correct.
how performance efficiency or operational excellence, these are the points we could take. So that's what clear me my understanding in the solution architecting. These are the pointers we should have to much more focus on.
Yeah, so these are the things, like as you said, one is assessment of what is the existing cloud landscape. What is that you as a company are going to solve? Which of the pain points are you going to solve? What is the business technology? What is the business ask? And you as a technology provider, what are you going to solve? So maybe they want some AI, AML solutions. They want perhaps some machine learning parts. They want some streaming solutions. So you will use the best combination of probably AWS, Google GCP, and Azure, whatever they are going to support, and use a combination of these things and find out which is the best solution that's going to work for this particular customer, and trying to address that sort of stuff. So you'll get a lot of solutioning experience in that kind of a role. Whereas your SRE role will be more technology focused, and you'll be probably with one particular stack and a
Exactly, correct.
few products. So you'll be just with a few products, and you'll go really deep into that, and you'll be a very valuable person also in the company, the SRE role.
Okay, so
But
as
yeah, please go ahead.
okay, so as far as I understand, like SRE in the sense, like you would be giving one kind of a stack or one environment. So there you have to go into
Yes, you
vertically
have to go really deep
horizontal
into
solution.
that and ensure that the environment is working as per the requirements of it. So, like, you could be, how many times a build are you going to be supporting? And you'll have to use probably Chef, Ansible, and write those kind of deployment descriptors, and ensure that, you like Netflix uses Chaos Monkey to inject,
Districts, yeah.
yeah, inject problems into the environment. So they and see, like, just like you inject antibodies into the environment, Netflix has this culture that they create problems on the fly and expect people to ensure that your environment is self-healing and takes care of the DevOps CI/CD pipeline, and it rectifies all by themselves. So it's going to be very technically challenging, and if you are really interested, that's definitely a piece of cake for you. And it is going to be a very good experience also. So based on your amount of how much you want to get your hands dirty and be hands-on, that's going to be completely hands-on role. Whereas the other cloud architect role is going to be more of a solution architect kind of a thing, wherein it is also going to be interesting because you're going to be talking to multiple different business guys, One guy is going to say, I want to put my data on the cloud. The other guy is going to say, I want to put my apps on the cloud. I want to do
True.
this. I want to do that. And then maybe he's an IBM customer already. Somebody is a Microsoft customer. So you'll get different perspectives on how you can actually understand the landscape of this, and then give up. So you'll be more business focused. And the second path is more easy if you want to grow as an EA, the cloud architect role.
Okay.
So because you'll be interacting with business more, and it will not be too much of a technology oriented role, the cloud architect one. But your SRE role is going to be very, very technology oriented. There's not going to be much of a business problems there. Of course, you will be directly, but SRE roles are typically paid very high also, because it's like a full stack developer. You want to know everything right from
True,
start to
because
end. Yeah.
correct. Like once coming to here, I just started looking into a Spring Boot code, how it looks like, and how they used to kept it in containers, and how the sidecars and how the init containers used to be used, like where it has been used. Whenever a app mesh has been used, like init containers would be just flesh out the actual logic of it, and there we would be keeping the actual application logic beside to that sidecaring of the proxy of app mesh we've been using. So these are the new things I've been there.
Correct. Because if you see, Netflix uses, they recruit SREs from very top institutions like Stanford and Harvard,
Oh,
and MIT and those, because they want not just computer science engineers, they want very hardcore guys who can write very good algorithms, very good data structures, that kind of stuff. So they're using such brains to solve the problem of SRE at that level. But you don't have to, you obviously, you can actually pick up a lot of things on the job. So if you have got a passion for
true.
technology, then go for it. But if you want to, be more interested on the solutioning part of it, like you already spent 10 years, like you want to be mixing business technology thing. So your technology learning will be not so great in your second job, but it will be more of business technology problems in your cloud architecting space, which is also interesting.
It's kind of a
So
techno managerial.
yeah,
For
exactly.
my
It'll be techno managerial, techno functional, come techno business kind of a role it will be. So
okay.
you could use that if you are really keen on doing that kind of a role. So
Okay, Kiran, and another question related to this. So, cloud migration assessment. So, I think if I'm correct, we in TOGAF we do have one of radar thing which talks about PPP and what I can say. Um, SOB, which is nothing but people, project, process, operations, security, and another one, business. So, so these are generally an assessment which AWS has opened one white paper. So they confirm that it has been captured from the TOGAF and Zachman framework to incorporate it, and they just build with the AWS developers, and they opened an open source card tool. So it is nothing but kind of an assessment, like how we do assessment in a similar way. So I'm asking, like, is it only this assessments by this analysis? Let's talk, like, I do have some of a risk level would be high, and few areas risk would be residual. So how we could measure it? We do have any specific tools, like kind of we do have some parameters like traceabilities and all. So in such a way, is there any open source tools we could incorporate it and suppress the number of risks, or how it could be in
yeah,
terms of
so
capability architecture?
okay, I think that's a good point. So the company that you're talking about is expecting you to do cloud assessments before you suggest them a cloud journey.
Okay, let me articulate my full-fledged requirement. So
Yeah.
I have an on-premises, and I'm giving you, as of this point in time, the requirement would be on application migration. Obviously, it comes under information architecture, which has application as well as a database, both together. And that legacy has to be migrated from on-premises to cloud. Okay, so I would start assessing of it. Arya, what is there, net? How I could assess it? How whether it is good as per the requirement. So if I found some of a pain points to do some sort of a scrutiny, for example, if I want to migrate some of applications, there is a 6R strategy from AWS side. In the similar way, there are some tools like Cloud Endure, which is proprietary to AWS. So such a way, if any risk has been increased, or if any residual risk has been encountered, so we do have any specific tools, any suggestions on that area?
Yeah, so actually there are various cloud assessment strategies and tools that are provided by various vendors. But from an enterprise architecture TOGAF point, what you have to do is they have taken the capability architecture essence of it, and they have there's a white paper. I'll point you to that. You can actually read that. Also, that will give you some pointers. And so it will tell you how to do a business readiness transformation assessment when you're adopting a cloud business transformation readiness assessment. So there you'll get some XY, some 10 or 12 parameters that are there, but that's just an indicative thing then in the EA architecture. But each company will come up with their own cloud readiness assessment framework that they will create. So you will have a combination of like you'll have a spider chart or a radar chart wherein you can say, okay, on say cloud security, this is my level of readiness. In terms of the cloud auditing, we are here. In terms of cloud logging, we are at this level. In the cloud incident management, this is the expectation is 7 or 8, but we are 3 or 4 this quarter. So you can actually, based on what is the kind of cloud offering that you are providing, like is it in SaaS, PaaS, or
Infrastructure as a
IaaS,
service.
or these days MBaaS, and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Like
correct. The function
mobile,
as a service, backend as a
yeah,
service,
backend
frontend
as a
as
service. Then you have all these Lambda functions if it's an AWS thing. So you will have the function as a service, those kind of stacks. So based on the maturity of the service that you're providing, you'll have a list of questionnaire that you can make. And once you do that, you can create a spider chart or a radar chart and put all the data in Excel, and you can show it pretty much saying that like if you assess for 10 or 15 or let us say 30 parameters, all of that you can actually put it into a nice report and give a 1 or 2 page report to the top management saying this client is at this level of readiness, and by consulting with us, this is the kind of value that we are going to provide to their business. So that also gives a good confidence to the client that even before they start consulting with you, they know where they are now, their as is architecture, and where they will go with your to be architecture. That kind of stuff. So they will get the
migration
before and
roadmap.
yeah, they'll get the migration roadmap before and after. And I will read your AWS paper that you pointed, wherein they're mixing, Zachman and TOGAF. So I'll be able to better suggest what is probably the need for that. But typically, it would be around. This is the high-level thought that using EA, they're going to identify where you stand today as a business capability readiness, your as is state, and then using your consulting experience, you're going to transform them to your to be state.
Okay, and another question is, I'm not from MBA background, so generally, what does business architecture generally tell about? Because I'm personally experienced on information architecture, technology architecture, and phasey that solution architecting, but information and solutioning. But what generally business architecture? Could you please give me 10,000 feet of high level in this?
Yeah. So business architecture is actually becoming very important now because business architecture is a bread and butter of why you're there as a business. So let us say you want to transact money, you want to transact money. And these days, you don't have to be a bank to transact money. You can be Paytm, you can be Apple Pay, you can do Google Pay, you can do Phone Pay, and you can do any of those kind of things. You don't need to be a bank to do banking. So that is what is business architecture. Business architecture is fundamentally looking at how are you going to be doing your business and using technology only as a leverage, using technology as a leverage to do it. Because we come from technology, we are hard focus, we are completely focused on, okay, this is the problem, I have to use lamp stack or mean stack, or I have to use AWS or Google or Python or whatever, and we get into the technology debate most often because we come from a technology background. But business guys will say, I want to, like if you say take the example of a farmer, he says, I want to get to know what is the amount of humidity in the air, so that I can put some cash crops. I want to put groundnut or wheat or maize or whatever. He just wants the weather information. He doesn't
Okay.
care whether you put it on that data on AWS and give it to him, or he doesn't care if it's putting on
Okay.
Google. So that is the fundamental business problem to be solved, that you have to stream him some data. So for him, cloud is when does it rain? That's all what he says, cloud. But for technology guys, cloud is like, okay, should I put the data on AWS or should I put it on
Okay.
Google GCP and that kind of stuff. So basically, business architecture is about 10,000-foot level is understanding what is your operating model today. How are you going to how are you going to serve your customers? What is the value proposition of how you're going to solve things? That is
Okay. Okay.
how it is going to be. So you've got a problem. It can be solved in n number of ways. But which is the best way in which you get the most value out of it? So that is the true job of a business architect. And since it is at that high level of strategy, they say that a true business architect is actually the CEO of the company because he's the guy who's able to take
So,
those kind of
okay,
decisions.
okay, I got it. So I can say like, so this major requirement or the change in the existing business model, so that has come in a strategic call,
Yes.
strategic level.
Yeah.
Okay,
It is
fine.
more at a strategic level, and it is fundamentally about telling you how your business is shaped, about what is the value proposition that you're going to give to your end customers by doing your business architecture.
Okay,
Why do you exist as a company? Like you are company X. Well, like what is the value proposition of Paytm? What is the value proposition of PhonePe? Like what is the value proposition of YouTube? What is the value proposition of Vimeo, for instance? Vimeo is very high quality videos. They don't get any money from advertisements. Like if you have got some very classic standard business videos, you put it on Vimeo, and then you give some private links to people. But if it's like you want everybody to watch, then you put it on YouTube. So
okay.
each company has its own value proposition. So
True,
as a
true.
business architect, your job is to find out, okay, we are standing for a product or a solution. So what is the value proposition that we are going to give to our customers? So if you're going to define that, that becomes your business architect.
Okay, super. It clears. I mean, it gives what I can say. I now I got very good clarity on
Correct.
what it is business architecture. Okay, so that is what I think most of my things has been done. And another one, if you're coming to the enterprise continuum, which is a continuous process, so can I incorporate that? What is the current DevOps model or a culture which is nowadays IT has been, I mean, has currently is following, or they've been adapted it. Can I consider that one? So because they've been narrow down the gap between the developers, testers, and some other middle members to the administrators. So make it into common people. Like if you are from administrator, come on, do the dev job. If you're a developer, come on, you do the administrative job. It's a collaborative work. So it is obviously CI/CD process is a continuous way, so that you could automate your pipelines and get your delivery as fast as possible, and you could deadline that what I can say, your deadlines and downtimes would be very much suppressed, and the deadlines would be much more faster and flexible enough. So my point here is, other than DevOps, like I just gone through few of our technologies in the nowadays, like RPA, which is robotic automated process and all. So it would be kind of a drag drop of one to be connected to another one. So this, other than, I mean, which one would be more suitable if we talk about enterprise continuum other than DevOps?
Yeah, actually, enterprise continuum is a completely different mindset. But as you said, DevOps is solving the problem of the continuum because it's eliminating all the boundaries between various teams,
Correct.
like the devs, operations, testing, delivery teams. So it is. So you can say DevOps is a tool that helps you to make enterprise continuum as a reality. Though enterprise
Okay.
continuum is there as a concept, DevOps is a very nice tool that is going to help you eliminate the siloed thinking between various organizations, and it's going to help.
Correct.
But enterprise continuum was there even before that. It only means that you can do it using DevOps, or you can do it using service-oriented architecture or microservices, as long as you eliminate the
True.
boundaries between various different products and solutions and ability to connect them together. Then that is a very good way in which you are going to implement the continuum. So DevOps is one nice tool that is going to, of course, aid the continuum and make it a reality. That kind of stuff.
Okay, so that's what even I was just thinking, like one, as far as I've been to this especially DevOps industry for quite long time. So I can say, I mean, I worked on open source for automating things like CI/CD in the same one specific tool, which do a CI/CD process of a minor requirement. If I want my application stack to be worked in multiple areas, which my incoming traffic would be more and more. So I would be using configuration management so that my CD process would be much more vast, and I could push my workloads accordingly. So you could orchestrate, or you could regulate it how much you do want. That is the beauty of it. That's what I could observe. And there are open source. If I want AWS and Azure, GCP, they have their own environments to do a CI/CD process. If not, then we can take the APIs and we could run this serverless environment as user. I mean, as add a word on Lambda functions.
Correct, correct.
And
So,
we've
and
been
one more,
connected.
one more point I want to tell you about using DevOps for enterprise continuum, as you said, to make it a reality. Is enterprise continuum is a much bigger concept than just DevOps, because DevOps is going to solve the problem within the company, removing the silos. But enterprise continuum is solving the problem of silos from not just within the company, across your vendors, your partners, and your entire business ecosystem. So it's going to
Okay.
solve the problem of all of those people. So DevOps is just
Okay.
one small part of it, which is going to solve the enterprise continuum problem within your company. But enterprise continuum's greater vision, grander vision is it is going to solve the problem of interoperability across your business, your partners, your customers.
Correct. Interoperability.
Interoperability across all of these value chain.
Okay.
So that way, it's a much bigger guy. If you see it that way. But within the company, yes, DevOps is helping you achieve some kind of a continuum within your company. But if you're talking about it outside, then you'll have to use perhaps a service-oriented mindset, or microservices, or have an enterprise service bus kind of a common layer that is going to help you connect all of these entities together.
Okay, so another question related to, since I was just a bit curious to work on migration side, and a few would be on assessment side. I just want to add this query, which is in. So if I take migrations and assessment planning of on-premises to cloud, so there would be a roadmap has been driven, and they are using a TOGAF framework. So in that case, like. So this is completely, it is iterating of complete ADM wheel. Like it would be going on a migration side, it is migration architecture, change architecture would be doing if any amendments are needed to your actual iteration cycle.
Yeah, actually, so that's a good point. So your question is whether you'll be involving all the phases in the ADM to complete it, but that depends from case to case basis, because if it's only migration, probably you'll do E and F, and implementation governs G and H. You'll do those cycles, but if you're involved there, but based on the client. So some client might have a change in the business architecture, which might result in a change in the opportunities and solutions. Some guys might have data architecture changes. Some guys might be fundamentally changing their operating systems or their technology models itself, in which case it could be a change of everything. So so you don't have to be restricted that way. And because TOGAF is a generic framework, it starts from A all the way to H. So whatever is the change that is involved, yes, you will, the framework is capable of doing it, but it from each client to client, your requirements can change.
Okay, so while we are talking about the migration, so the next step would be obviously security. Okay, so security, like generally, as I worked on my migration experience from on-premises to cloud, especially for application side, so we were using on generally a STRED rule, like spoofing, threatening, and that model. So while we were assessing under the security itself, this is going to be doing, or any best security tools we've been used to assess your how, if you're using layer 7, I mean OSI model, specific tools we have to be considered to much more robustic on thing, like as you said, like internet layer side, what security application side, like web application firewalls we've been using. So any generic security, either pre-checks or a tool we are going to use, I mean generally in a migration strategy standpoint?
Yeah, so actually, if you look at security deeply that way, there is this framework based on the security offerings of your companies. Like as a company, you might be dealing only in cloud security or physical security or application security or data security. So based on what is that you are ready to offer, in that you'll have to zero in and focus your energies on. But at a generic level, there is this framework called SABSA, SABSA, which is going to help you to SABSA, and there are white papers on how TOGAF integrates with SABSA. So that will help you on how you can actually integrate an EA framework with the security requirements. And that's a very nice way of looking at security, because it's very comprehensive. It's got a lot of user attributes, right from operational level to administrator level to IT day-to-day issues. It covers the entire spectrum of all of them. And for
Okay.
each parameter, you can actually define, okay, this is my upper limit, this is my mean, this is my meridian, and this is how I'm going to check whether I am actually meeting the security requirements and that kind of stuff. So if you are able to do that, that is going to be a very good requirement security assessment kind of a template that you can use if you want to get. But then again, I think that you have to get certified for. There is certification for that, but you don't need it. You can even read up the white paper or get some ideas from that. Then there is ISO 27001 controls, list of controls that you can actually put in. And Amazon itself, if you look at AWS, they qualify for, I think, 127 different security standards. 127 different security standards Amazon qualifies for, last updated. So I think now the number may be much more. I read it around 1 or 2 years ago. They were at 127 standards that completed, certification for. So you can get some pointers on, but the idea to go about it is like, don't be overwhelmed with, oh, there are so many things I don't. You just, what is your area of focus as a company, and what is the problem that you are going to solve? So based on that, you create your own template, and using the idea from all of these frameworks, you can actually do something there.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot. That SAPSA, it's like open source, or it is a.
No, SAPSA is they're a body. So they're a body of security architects. They run security architecture certifications all over the world. So just like TOGAF, they're a separate body. The SAPSA is the name of the founder, Sherwood and Atwood or something. So two people have started that.
Okay, I'll Google. I mean,
yeah,
I'll just research on it.
So they have certifications everywhere in the world they offer. So whenever they are offering, you can read up the framework also and then get some ideas.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I'll definitely focus, and if any clarification, I'll definitely reach to you as usual. Okay.
Sure.
And coming to the one thing, as we were discussing into pros, cons, and I do remember, like, while I was preparing and coming to guidance to you, so you used to give one of a real-time what I can say, a real-time example, like the Redbus, Uber, and how these has moved on, and how they've been using. So obviously, service-oriented architecture, how much you use, you pay for that.
Correct.
So yeah, I do still remember that. Okay, so coming to the service-oriented architecture, so if I want to incorporate AML algorithms, or see, for example, my environment currently using containers, okay, fine, and tomorrow serverless environment, so I used to incorporate some sort of a function as a services, and I incorporate my function has to be run so according to my logic, and which has been incorporated with other services, my logic will be delivered. So, for example, if it is AI and ML, which is another level of technology ahead, I want to incorporate it. So generally, as of my level of maturity, service-oriented architecture is best fitment for microservices only. Since it's interdependent, it's not a monolithic, so that you could integrate with one service to another service with the help of APIs, so that it can you can play around on it. So that's what my level of maturity. So in case if I want to incorporate AI and ML, that is purely another layer of running your business logic, or can we incorporate AMLs to service-oriented architecture?
Yeah, actually, that is one more question, like your DevOps and what is the enterprise continuum kind of question. So this is also similar to that. So
Okay.
AI ML is, yes, it is going to solve a problem. You've got a huge amount of data, so you're going to make your data intelligent and mine it and query it and make it using machine learning, using artificial intelligence. That is a problem that you're solving using AI ML. So it really doesn't matter how you're going to use your AI services. If you can write it using service-oriented architecture, you can write it using microservices. So this is another school of thought. This is just an architecture practice, a best practice, like service-oriented architecture and
Okay.
microservices. So you can actually apply that on top of AI ML and create your own service-oriented architecture stack or
So
microservices based on your case.
okay, I got it. So it means to say, for example, I write my piece of a code in Java at the same time Spring Boot. If I want to do it in AI way, you could run it.
Yeah,
So the
absolutely.
ultimate logic it is how you are going to do it and how you are going to incorporate it.
Correct, absolutely. So your service-oriented architecture and your microservices are architectural styles. Actually, they are called as architectural styles. You can
Uh-huh.
use that to solve any problem. You could solve that to solve the problem of robotic process automation or
Mhm.
microservices or augmented reality or anything like that. So it doesn't have to be restricted to only some domain. It is a way of thinking in terms of architecture. If it
Correct. Like
solves a
kind of
problem,
I
yeah,
can add this bot services as well, right? So
yeah,
whenever
you
you
can
go
use
to
your
the
chatbot. You want to create a chatbot
chatbot.
using services? Yes, use service-oriented architecture because these are only the tools that will help you to do the job, and they are not entirely some technologies or methodologies by themselves. They are used to solve a problem. If it fits the problem, yes, you use it.
Okay.
So if it doesn't, then use something else.
Okay. So, okay, last and final question from my side, and thanks for your valuable time. So, I just want to understand. So, I was very much curious while I was preparing and try to, implement the concept called traceability.
Mm-hmm.
So, generally, traceability into EA practices or other than EA practices, where it would majorly fit in. Let's talk about EA side. In EA, traceability will come here or wherever we can use it.
Yeah, traceability is a good question actually, because that is the job of the decision makers now. So if you become a VP or a director, then they are all talking about what is the traceability, what is the transparency in the
True.
architecture. So they want to find out, okay, if this problem occurred, then this occurred because of this particular reason. If my build failed today, did it fail because of a code check-in problem, or did it fail because of a requirements problem, or did it fail because of a tool, or because of some misunderstanding between business and IT, or what is the actual problem? So that is your
Okay.
traceability. How do you create traceability end to end in your stack? Which means if there is some kind of an issue, you should be able to pinpoint and say, okay, this is the reason why the this is the reason why this problem occurred, and you should be able to map it to some kind of a requirement. Like you've changed some piece of code, and you want to know which is the war file or jar file that you need to deliver to the customer. So that is also some
Correct.
kind of traceability. And
Okay.
so these days you have a ticket that you've actually raised in one of the modules, and you want to know that module is part of which line of the business. Is it part of lending, or is it part of finance, or is it part of inventory management? Like you should know. So that is the level of traceability. So if you want to go deep in terms of architecture thinking and traceability, there is a framework called IT for IT. IT that is
Numeric 4 IT.
yeah, numeric for IT, correct. IT for IT. So that is going to help you understand this from a CEO, CTO's level point of view, how to look at traceability. Because if
Okay,
you're
okay.
looking from
Since
a
they have a
manager's,
high level view of a broader view, so
correct,
since they don't want to keenly look into it and they want a immediate thing like this might be the pain point or this might be the blocker. Okay, that can
absolutely. So that is going to create a complete traceability for you end to end, and it's going to help you manage your IT like a business. So I should have my dashboards everywhere. Like I should know if you see in front of a car steering, how much fuel is there, how much of tire pressure is there. Everything is there on your dashboard, right? So similarly,
true.
IT4 helps you to create that kind of a dashboard for your complete practice, like from build, deployment, strategizing, ticketing, operations. So it's a nice way of thinking in terms of that. But still, there's a lot of tools that are still being created for helping this problem. But yes, based on what you want to create and what traceability parameters that you're measuring, you can actually use that framework to build something of your own choice.
Okay. It's immense pleasure again, Kiran. That's it from my side. Sorry if I asked you few of our stupid questions. Please ignore me.
No, no problem. I think you are quite curious and you are learning a lot, which is great actually. So with this mindset, you can do anything. As long as you're
Thank you.
curious and as you're learning, I think that will take you to places and, wishing you all the best. So
Thank
you make a good choice based on our discussion and let me know which one you've picked actually.
Sure,
Which of the
Kiran. I'll
choices.
definitely update you.
Sure, I think
Thank you.
so. Thanks, Abhilash. So I'm just
I have
stopping
to
the
thank
recording.
you a lot for your valuable time. It is really because all my queries has been now filtered up a lot, and I just got the valuable content to choose decision making, which one to opt and which one should not, and which one to keep it on a hold or a side. So that thanks again for I can say like gold dust or what I can say from your end. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Abhilash. Yeah, thanks, and wishing you all the best. Keep me updated.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.